is July 26th, 2022, and welcome to the Dispatch. This is our, I think, fifth episode now, where typically we try to cover some of the latest and greatest stories that have been uh, in the state of Idaho in the political realm, that is, since we are a political news organization. And normally I don't. So, the Idaho Dispatch, we pride ourselves on being as neutral as possible, and we don't editorialize in our news articles, and or at least we do our very best not to do. And tonight might be a little bit different. In fact, I'm just going to come out and straight up tell you that tonight I am going to give you some personal opinion. I'm going to be responding to a column that was released by the Idaho Press Idaho Press Club president, Betsy Russell, who writes for the Idaho Press. Okay, different things there. I'm going to be responding to criticisms that she made against myself and against the Idaho Dispatch and really other independent media outlets. And so tonight I want to make it very clear that I am going to be giving you some of my personal opinion as I respond to this attack, so to speak, if you want to call it that, by Betsy Russell, the Idaho Press Club president. Before I get to that, I want to make sure to thank our sponsors, Alex Kincaid Law, Prestige Property Management, the Carl Felt Center, North End Real Estate, and Idaho Chooses Life. These are the companies that are, putting their neck out on the line, so to speak, to support independent journalism here in Idaho. And if you're a company that is interested in that, hit me up in an email, greg@idaho-dispatch.com. I'd be happy to get you guys in here and advertising with us. That all helps keep this thing afloat. And then second, if you guys can, please be sure to subscribe to the Idaho Dispatch. We need your help, as always, in the monthly subscribers. It's $2.97 a month. I used to say, like, in joke, that's less than a cup of coffee. Now it's like really less than it's like 2 cups of coffee. Right? A cup of coffee is like $7. I don't drink coffee, but I've heard it's extremely expensive right now. And so $2.97 a month, is that worth it to support independent journalism here in Idaho? So let's first back up a little bit and talk about, why did Betsy Russell write this column? So I was asked to come on the Hoftime Report, which is hosted by Wayne Hoffman from the Idaho Freedom Foundation. And there was another guest on there as well. But I was asked to come on and talk about the Idaho Dispatch. Why did it start, and what's our goals, and what are we trying to do differently than what the mainstream media is doing? And that was why I was asked to come on. And so we had I think about an hour-long conversation, and just about what I have noticed about the Idaho mainstream media across the country, across the state. I should clarify before we get too deep into this. I've got 2 slip discs. One of them is pushing on my sciatic nerve pretty good. So I do have medication that I'm taking to try and dull that pain a little bit. All right. So this may be the most entertaining episode of the Dispatch you ever watch, especially since I know Betsy Russell is going to watch this. So hi, Betsy. How are you? And so, yes, I did also figure out how to turn the camera around, despite being totally medicated right now. I figured out how to flip the camera around so the pictures weren't backwards and my logo wasn't backwards. You're welcome. So I got on the Hoftime Report with Wayne Hoffman with Idaho Freedom Foundation, and here's the thing: the Idaho Dispatch is only in existence because I got so sick, and me and a few others got so sick and tired of reading news articles in Idaho that were just blatantly biased. It didn't even seem like they were trying. It was, here's all of this one side, and then I would read one comment from somebody I knew from a different side, and I'd reach out to them and was like, that's all you said? And they're like, no, I said all of this other stuff, but they only took out that one sentence, and that's what they put in. I got tired of that stuff. I know you guys are sick and tired of that stuff. And it kind of went back and forth. I had heard rumors that other media outlets were going to start up and they were going to try and do this thing. But they were going to do more of a conservative slant. I said, why can't we just have something that tells the news? And so I'm on the Halftime Report kind of explaining what I have noticed in the Idaho media. So you have to understand that in most states, the media tends to play to their audience a little bit. So if it's going to slant, it's going to slant to where it keeps subscribers, right? It's going to slant to the audience that makes up the vast majority of their audience, maybe their political leanings. In Idaho, this is a extremely red state, right? Okay, very heavily Republican at the very least. And so years and years ago, like more than a decade ago, maybe a decade ago, I would say there were some good outlets that tried to do a pretty good job. There was, I think, a lot more good reporters that tried to do a good job. I had been interviewed with my work with Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, and I would interview with reporters and felt like I got a fair shake. And in my opinion, Trump changed everything. Now, whether you like Trump or don't like Trump, he obviously battled with the media, right? That was a constant thing that President Trump was doing, was hitting the media and hitting the media hard. And in my opinion, the national media completely turned very far to the left. And I think James O'Keefe with Project Veritas has done a very good job of exposing some of that inner desire by big tech companies like Google and CNN in particular on their, I mean, they were running stories, at least according to their own people, and working to defeat President Trump to make sure he didn't come back in 2020. Like that was their entire goal. And they even talked about it openly, at least within their company. And so the national media definitely shifted, but I believe very firmly that the media in Idaho also shifted and became much more biased. And you just don't see that. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, particularly from California, Oregon, and Washington, people from the West Coast who have come to Idaho, and they'll reach out to me and go, pardon my French, but what the hell happened in Idaho? What is wrong with your media here? Why is it so liberal? Where I came from in Oregon, or where I came from in Washington, or even some of them, my local news articles in California aren't this liberal. And so I don't know if it was just Trump. Okay. Maybe it's that most of the newspapers in Idaho, even a lot of the small ones, were all owned by like one or two companies. Okay. A lot of them. The Idaho Statesman, all of the big ones are owned by McClatchy for the most part. Okay. McClatchy's out of California. So I don't know if there's some directives coming down on how to push news articles. I really don't know. But the media has definitely shifted to the left, and some of them very far to the left. And it's just strange because in a state that's heavily Republican, you would think that if they're trying to keep their subscribers, they would be a little bit more careful about trying to be neutral, right? And so I'm gonna start breaking down this Betsy Russell column, okay? And so it's titled. So if you don't know Betsy Russell, she is one of the longest journalists here in Idaho. She runs the Idaho Press Club. She pretty much determines, along with a couple others, who gets credentialed at the Capitol. They also really determine, to some extent, who can be in the press club. Now, I am a member of the Idaho Press Club, ironically. I wasn't actually sure I could get in, but I did apply, and I did get a membership in the Idaho Press Club. I don't know what that means really. In fact, she sent this out in the Idaho Press Club email today, with my name in it, of course. Now, will they let me respond? I'll try, but I seriously doubt it. So Betsy starts off and says, Wayne Hoffman has been revving up his cynical campaign of lies, insults, and mockery aimed at undermining the credibility of Idaho's hardworking reporters. Hoffman, president of the Idaho Freedom Foundation and a former news reporter himself. So Wayne Hoffman, who is with the Idaho Freedom Foundation, used to work as a reporter, I think for 4 or 5 years, if I remember. I don't remember the exact amount of years, but with the Idaho Statesman, long time ago, probably long before Statesman has become what it's become today, in my opinion, which is not what journalism is supposed to be. So dubbed by University of Idaho President Scott Green in testimony. Is among a group of, quote, conflict entrepreneurs, close quote, so dubbed by the University of Idaho President Scott Green in testimony to the state legislature in January, who has employed similar tactics in trying to undermine trust in various other long trusted institutions, including public schools, colleges, and universities, elected officials from both parties, healthcare providers, city councils, and more, all to advance his own shadowy political agenda. Okay, so here's the thing. Most newspapers have editorials. Like their editorial boards will come out almost weekly, especially with the Idaho Statesman. They come out with almost weekly editorials criticizing usually a conservative, okay, or a conservative group. And so I always found that fascinating. I'm like, you're trying to be fair and objective, but then you're opining on all of the news articles. You opine, you're a journalist already opine, and then the editorial board comes out and does endorsements and just starts attacking people. And we haven't done that at the Idaho Dispatch. You won't find one editorial from me or any of the other owners of the Idaho Dispatch telling you how to think or feel about a specific issue, a news article that we've covered. We don't do that crap, okay? But she says that Wayne's got a shadowy political agenda. So this is a reporter, and you know, it's her column, but you know, making her feelings very, very clear. So he refuses to disclose who funds his organization, its affiliates, which have become increasingly active in Idaho political campaigns. I worked with Hoffman at the Idaho Statesman back when I served with him on the Idaho Press Club board. What he's doing now is so repugnant that it cries out for robust denunciation. All right. So I'm going to skip this paragraph here and jump down to where she kind of gets into me. Last week, in an episode of his Halftime Report live stream video podcast entitled How to Handle Media Malpractice, Hoffman and his two guests bashed Idaho reporters and the legacy news media as socialist, leftist, biased, very far to the left, and more, continuing a barrage of claims Hoffman has been lobbying at Idaho's free press for months. He's also been pushing for conservative politicians to refuse to talk to actual news reporters in the process, hiding their views and statements from their own constituents. So Wayne will tell you, and he talked about this in the podcast, the reason he doesn't talk to reporters is because they don't do their jobs accurately. So basically what Wayne has said is the reporters will chime in, okay, and say, hey, we want to comment for you. The whole story's already written. We just need to throw some line in here to make it look like we tried to be fair. Okay. Why would Wayne respond to that, or anybody? That's why a lot of conservatives don't respond to reporters anymore. They're tired of being taken out of context, and they're tired of the story being completely slanted in one direction. And then there's some line in there, and then the reporter's like, look how fair I was. I gave him an opportunity. Okay. And so Wayne is just like, stop feeding this machine that is deliberately working against conservatives. Okay. And that's what he'll tell you. It's deliberately working against conservatives. So stop feeding them by participating in it. Okay. So, and at the Idaho Dispatch, I mean, I have reached out to people, you know, that I don't like on a personal level, or I should say a political level, maybe not personal, but on a political level that I disagree with on probably everything. And they'll send me a comment, and guess what? I'll put the whole thing in there. If it's 300 words, I'll put the whole statement in there, because I know what it's like to be taken out of context. I know what it's like to give a reporter, you know, 4 or 5 sentences, and then they only take one out of there. In fact, by the way, if you are going to talk to a reporter and you want a statement, you tell them, this is my whole statement, put the whole thing in, or don't do anything. Okay. That's kind of been my policy. If I do talk to the media. Okay. So here we go. In the show's opening, Hoffman described himself as one of Idaho's most respected, influential public policy voices. His two chosen guests on the show were Greg Pruett, that's me, head of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, a gun rights activist who is well to the right of the National Rifle Association, who has been pushing his own version of news on his Idaho Dispatch website. I read that and I kind of laughed. I was like, all right, that's one way to, I guess, try to attack the Idaho Dispatch. Is it's my own version of news. See, I thought the reporter's job was very simple. Like when I started this, I thought this can't be that hard. Here's all the facts, everything that we can provide: emails, pictures, phone transcript, text messages, emails, whatever it is. Here's all the facts we can provide. Here's what this side says. Here's what this side says. Maybe there's 4 sides. Here's what this side says. Here's what this side says. And you throw it in the article. Here's what all these sides say. Here's all the facts that we can provide. Maybe there's more, but this is what we have. You decide what you want to believe out of all that. I didn't go to journalism school, folks. Okay. I'm not a trained journalist. I have a master's degree in safety and occupational health. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice. And then I did a master's in safety and occupational health. Okay. There are better writers than me, way better writers than me. I am not going to sit here and claim to be some great writer of news articles. I do my best. Okay. And if I do a huge story, I try to run it through a couple editors to try and make sure it's as best as possible. Other than that, I write it, I do my own editing, and I just try to get you guys information. It may not be the most scholarly thing you've ever read, but I try to just put the facts out there and let you guys decide what you want to believe. And so she says I'm doing my own version, his own version of news on his Idaho Dispatch. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, really. Maybe it's the medication talking right now, but it just seemed kind of weird. I was like, okay, but I'm doing what you're supposed to be doing. Isn't that what she's supposed to be doing? Isn't that what all reporters are supposed to be doing? And she continues on, and Brian Hyde, a former radio reporter who runs the new Nowhere to Hide podcast for the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Hyde's program just launched last month, opens with a montage of strung together video clips of Idaho reporters, including me, and ridicules and mocks them. And here's where Betsy decides she's going to disagree with me, and you're going to get a laugh out of this. I laughed at this, honestly, when she defended this. So she says, Pruett opined, quote, "Years and years ago, I think the media here in Idaho was a lot different than it is now." 100% true in my opinion, and it's not even close. I don't know if it was Trump maybe that really caused a left turn in the legacy media in Idaho, but it's really different. Hyde chimed in, Idaho media definitely has taken a pretty hard turn to the left in terms of the legacy media. And then Betsy says, that's not true. I've been here all along, and I know this from firsthand experience. I still do what I've always done, seek the truth and report it. But I decided to check in. Okay, so somebody's made a criticism about the Idaho media, and that it's taken a hard turn to the left and gone away from the neutrality and objectiveness that it's supposed to do. That's what reporters are supposed to do, right? Be objective when you're writing your news articles. And I believe that not only the newspapers, but the TV stations have turned to the left. And if you're a liberal, that's fine. I understand that. But in my mind, I'm trying to think as a reporter, shouldn't you be as objective as possible in your reporting? Now, if you have your own personal opinions, that's fine, right? Everybody's got their own personal opinions. So if Betsy is going to say, oh, the Idaho media hasn't turned, here's some public polling that shows trust in Idaho's media is as high as ever. No, instead, she says, quote, but I decided to check in with one of Idaho's longest serving former journalists to see what he thought about whether Idaho's news media has changed its approach. Bob Fick headed the Associated Press Bureau in Idaho for 22 years, from Election Day in 1983 to the end of 2004. He's the classic old school journalist, doesn't pull his punches, and has deep knowledge of both Idaho and journalism. Okay, and I'm not here to attack Bob Fick, but Idaho's media hasn't changed. And to prove my point, I'm going to go to another journalist who agrees with me. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Okay, the hatred for the media on both sides is at an all-time high. Okay, their approval ratings, I believe, are lower than Congress's now. Was it Pew Research? I can't remember. There was a poll that just came out recently, it was one of the national polling companies that nobody trusts the media anymore. Like nobody. And she's like, nothing's changed. And to prove my point, here's my good friend that I know, and he agrees with me. Okay. So then she quotes him in the article and says, so this is a quote from Bob Fick, who used to be the head of the AP Bureau in Idaho for 22 years. He says, the only change has been that there's not enough reporters anymore to keep track of all these. And then it says expletives. I don't know if he's using the F word or something. I don't know. It doesn't say. She just said expletives. So that sounds like a guy who's, really trying to tune in and let the Idaho voters or the public know what's happening. That's the real problem, Fick said. So the only thing I could think of is he's talking about conservatives or independent journalists like myself that are trying. I don't even know what he's referring to. Okay. Maybe this is it. There we go. Next paragraph. And I think this is an idea that Fick had. Yeah. Okay. So then it says internet propagandists now spread their own slant on news as technology continues to undermine the advertising-based funding model that has long supported the free press in the United States, Fick noted. So I assume that Fick and Miss Russell are calling the Idaho Dispatch internet propaganda. Okay. Okay. By definition, propaganda is only one side of, if you're going to write a news article, right? And I'm a newspaper and I'm writing for, so for instance, the paper that Hitler supported or something like that, it's going to be propaganda because it's only going to tell you one side of the story. That's it. And so I tell both sides of the story, or all sides of the story for that matter. And I'm the propagandist when a lot of news outlets in Idaho now, when they write their articles, are completely one-sided. Just saying. That leaves news outlets with less money to spend on reporters. Journalism never has been a high-paying profession. Now there are fewer of us trying to do the same work. Puts him again. That's the only difference to yesterday, Fick told me, is that there's not enough reporters to keep track of the miscreants that try to influence public opinion with no facts and no truth. Now, I don't know. Bob Fick may not know the Idaho Dispatch. Maybe he's just opining on conservative or independent news outlets in general. I'm not really sure. Okay. Fick added, I think you're doing a pretty good job. I appreciate that. Shocker. I'm totally shocked that her friend agrees with her. Okay. She didn't go get somebody that's objective on the issue or find public polling that supports her opinion. She just decided to go find her best friend to agree with her. Hoffman's continued agitation against real journalists is encouraging his followers to engage in actual harassment against hardworking reporters who work to bring you the news every day. It needs to stop. Okay. And this part was kind of interesting. In a free country like ours, people can say what they want, even if it's not true. I recently asked my favorite lawyer, my mom, whether there might be grounds for a defamation lawsuit against Hoffman for his odious campaign against journalists. No, she replied. The First Amendment that protects our free press in America protects hate speech until it crosses the line into inciting violence. So to your mom, and your mom told you, no, you can't do that. Aren't you a journalist? Don't you know that he can say mean things if he wants to, unless he's calling for people to hurt people or he's saying that you're doing some really unethical thing? Let's see what you say here. I'm going to get, okay. Let's see. So as a longtime Idaho reporter and president of the Idaho Press Club, I'm speaking now, and I hope you will all speak too. Support the free press. Subscribe to your local newspaper. If you own a business, support the newspaper by buying an ad. Watch or listen to local newscasts. Support legitimate, real nonprofit news organizations like the Idaho Capital Sun and Idaho Education News, which are transparent about their funding sources and report news rather than pushing political agendas. I'm not even going to go there. Okay. Anyway, I'm just trying to, I can't remember. I thought there was one more thing in here, but maybe not. So yeah, that was Betsy Russell, the president of the Idaho Press Club, in her Sunday column, which she not only just posted, she also sent it out to the Idaho Press Club. So, and that's why. Look, I don't even think I attacked Betsy on the podcast. I don't remember doing it. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. I was trying to be fairly fair, but Betsy believes that nothing has changed, and I believe that everything has changed in Idaho's reporting. Because see, but things are different than they used to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys some screenshots of mostly tweets and then some articles from Idaho reporters or Idaho articles. And I'll tell you that this is not how it used to be. So let's take a look at this first one. So this is Morgan Romero, and in her bio, she very clearly states she's a KTVB reporter. So this isn't like Morgan Romero and it's just her own personal opinions and she keeps everything from work separated. She says, I'm in her bio, I work for KTVB. So this is right after the Uvalde shooting. And I don't care if you agree with her or disagree with her on what she's opining about, but she said, thoughts and prayers won't cut it. I beg our elected officials to, in all caps, do something. Protect innocent lives. How are we okay with seeing this carnage over and over? Again, this is a KTVB reporter on her profile expressing her opinion of gun control, which you can have. But that's not normal. That did not happen. That did not happen years and years and years ago. Okay, so Sue Zoldak chimed in. She actually does polling. She's done polling for the Idaho Dispatch. She says in here, quote, although trust in the media in the U.S. has been scarce for many years, confidence ratings for newspapers and TV news has never been as low as they are now. And that was Gallup this month. So thank you, Sue. I couldn't remember. It was something I wanted to grab before, and I did not. Okay, let's just check out another tweet. This one, Brian Holmes with KTVB, he just puts KTVB in his title. For his name. KTVB Brian Holmes. Why does it seem like the people clutching their pearls, okay, grabbing your groin, for those that don't understand that, about mental health issues in this country are the same people trying to vilify SEL and diversity inclusivity in schools? Again, you never saw this from reporters a long time ago. They did not put this stuff just out there for everybody to see. I still don't even know if Brian Holmes claims to be a reporter or an opinion person like Rachel Maddow or Tucker Carlson, right? Those shows are very much opinion shows. But Brian hosts the 10 o'clock newscast sometimes. He also has a show called The 208, which I still don't know if I asked him one time, I believe in an email, is this an opinion show or is this supposed to be a newscast? I don't know. If it's an opinion show, then fine, you're doing great. You're opining on all sorts of stuff. But he never answered. I don't know. He doesn't say it. It doesn't say in the description of the 208 whether it's just his opinions. Okay. Let's see. Here's another one. If a weapon is so dangerous, in this case, I assume they're talking about an AR-15, that a squad of police officers are too afraid to confront a single person wielding it, that weapon should be banned. And Brian Holmes says, I mean, ... Okay. And typically when you write something like this, you're saying, I mean, he's not wrong. Okay. Or she, excuse me, in this case. So again, you wouldn't see this kind of stuff. Let's find another one. A lot of them are KTVB reporters. This is the biggest TV news station in Idaho. Two of their most famous, I guess, reporters that they have right now. The solution is multifaceted, just like the problem. But I'm genuinely curious, why are some so opposed to a starting point in all caps, such as eliminating a person's ability, especially 18-year-olds? So she's saying especially 18-year-olds, but really all of you, such as eliminating a person's ability to buy an AR-15 style rifle. And don't at me with you're an anti-gun liberal. It's a tired retort. Again, Betsy, how is this not different? I guarantee you 10 years ago, I mean, maybe obviously Twitter wasn't as big of a deal, but there's still some news stations I can go and they don't opine on stuff like this, like these two are doing. Okay. Another one, KTO. So here's something that some people wanted us to cover this as a news, and I'm tired of, like, somebody says something stupid and it becomes this big news story, right? We have bigger issues to cover, in my opinion, than somebody said something stupid. So Pam Hemphill, who is a cancer survivor, I don't know if she still has cancer, but she had breast cancer, and it's either been removed or she's still fighting it, or or she survived it. I can't remember exactly. And Brian Holmes with, again, KTVB, that's his in the freaking title right there. Pam, perhaps you should just go gently and quietly into that good night. Okay, so I read this and I was like, holy cow. Like, no offense, but if a conservative said this, it would be all over statewide media. All over statewide media. Every single person would be talking about this. If Janice McGeehan or Pammy Nichols or Heather Scott said this about a cancer survivor, it would be all over the media, 100%. You cannot disagree with that because I've seen them do this to conservatives. So Brian Holmes, a reporter, okay, the go gently and quietly into that good night is a death wish. Like, you just need to die. Now, here's the thing. I know Brian did not mean, at least I don't think he did. I know he didn't mean that. I think in my opinion, he was trying to say, look, go do your time, just shut up, and just you did something bad, just deal with it, right? Okay. And he chose like the worst phrasing you could possibly choose for a cancer survivor. So did he get smacked? Did anybody in the media cover it? No, I mean, it's not really a news story in the first place. But again, if the roles were reversed, it would be all over the media. Okay. Let's pick up another one. So this one was written by Betsy Russell. So Glenn Beck came to Idaho. And when he came to Idaho, he was giving a presentation to lawmakers about ESG, environmental, social, and I think governance scores. I can't remember. Like I said, the medication's kind of clouding my head a little bit here. Anyway, so he came to the Capitol. He actually met with Senate leadership. I believe he met with the governor, and he was working on helping propose legislation in the state of Idaho. For those that don't know, Glenn Beck has a ranch in Idaho, and he's here a lot during the summer. And so I think to some extent he likes Idaho, and he wanted to do something in Idaho, whether you agree with it or not. But this is the headline that Betsy Russell chose. For someone who wasn't just coming and giving a fun speech, he was proposing legislation, meeting with the leaders of our state, and gave a presentation about what he said are the dangers of ESG. And this is the headline that Betsy Russell chose. Glenn Beck, quote, Glenn Beck entertains GOP lawmakers, others at Capitol Talk. Entertains? Now, Glenn Beck might make jokes during his presentation, but he wasn't there entertaining people. He was there pushing legislation. And that is what Betsy Russell decided to put as the headline. Does that seem fair? I don't even remember what we wrote. I wrote an article about it. I did a headline. Glenn Beck actually shared our headline because I think, in my opinion, he was like, well, Idaho Dispatch at least wrote a fair headline about it rather than trying to mock Glenn Beck, which Betsy did in the first line of her article. So this is from the same article. First line, celebrity talk show host and conspiracy theorist Glenn Beck entertained an audience of about 60 in a legislative meeting room at the Idaho Capitol this afternoon, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Again, celebrity talk show host and conspiracy theorist Glenn Beck, right? Again, mocking him. And you don't have to like the guy. But this is what the media likes to do to people, the legacy media. They want to mock people. And so what they'll do is they'll put a label on them to try and mock them, to try and convince the reader or push the reader into thinking, hey, maybe somebody doesn't know who Glenn Beck is. That's probably a thing, right? There's probably people who don't know Glenn Beck. And so the easy thing to do is for Betsy is like, well, this nutcase Glenn Beck came into town and I don't like him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my headline saying it's an entertainment thing. It's not really serious. And then my opening line, I'm going to call him a conspiracy theorist. Okay. It is not the job of the journalist to label people like that. It's not your job. Okay. But they do it all the time. These reporters do it all the time. I'm gonna touch on that here in just a second. Let's see. I think this is from. Okay, this is from an Idaho news outlet. I was gonna say which one, but I might be wrong, and for some reason I didn't label it when I uploaded it. But Idaho's dominant political party charted a new direction for itself over the weekend at its state convention. Not only current members of the GOP state party, so this way, party leadership, but also proving an array of resolutions, rule changes, and platform modifications favored by the farthest right wing of the party. Okay, again, with the labeling, trying to do everything they can to mock a particular section of Idaho. Okay, however big that section is, they're trying to mock it because, in my opinion, they want to push Idaho further to the left. I think that's an agenda that some of these reporters have. This one was from, so Channel 6 News in Pocatello, I believe, but it was an AP article. So if you don't know, typically, here, let me take this off here for a second. The AP has a reporter in Idaho. They'll write an article and all of the news outlets share it. By the way, that's how desperate a lot of these places are, is that they share each other's stuff. So one outlet will write it and the entire state just shares it. Nobody else does their own story on it within that news organization. Like, we ain't got time for that. So a lot of the articles you'll read on a lot of these sites, these mainstream media sites, are all written by people that work for other news sites. Like, it's freaking insane. And maybe they're that far behind on staffing. I really don't know, but it's kind of insane to me. Okay, so this was an AP reporter that wrote this article in Boise. I just found this. This was like yesterday. And this is me not even trying. Like, I could probably fill up an entire folder full of Idaho media bias. So there's a guy who's running for Attorney General for the Democrat Party, and his last name is Arkush. I can't remember what his first name is. It's not here in the clip that I took. It says Arkush's campaign manager is Jim Jones, okay, a former Republican Attorney General, as well as former Chief Justice of the Idaho Supreme Court. Jones is with Take Back Idaho, a group of Republicans that opposes far-right Republicans and seeks to put forward more moderate candidates. Again, look at how that is framed. Take Back Idaho, just a group of Republicans. Keeping in mind that Jim Jones, a former Republican who has openly advocated for Democrats to go into the Republican primary, is with a group called Take Back Idaho, just a group of Republicans that opposes that evil far-right camp, right? So, again, with the labeling, they're labeling it to set it up in the mind of the readers. This is the game right here. These are the people you need to know about, and we're going to tell you which ones are good and which ones are bad by labeling them and getting you scared of a particular person or group or lawmaker or whatever by labeling them far right and all that kind of stuff. Okay, Wasden is well known for his strategy of simply calling balls and strikes when interpreting the law. Like, what in the actual hell? Wasden is well known for his strategy. Well known by who? Who determined that? Now, you could say, if you're the reporter, Wasden says he simply calls balls and strikes when interpreting the law. Like, if Wasden comes out and says, this is how I interpret the law, I call it just balls and strikes, straight down the line. That is not the reporter's job to come out and tell you, Wasden's a straight shooter. This is how he does it. Okay, which irked some Republican lawmakers who didn't like his legal advice. Labrador said he will make the office much more partisan. Like, for the life of me, I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand how anyone could look at that and go, oh yeah, this isn't biased at all. Like, it's absolutely insane to me. So when I write articles, and I think we've gotten better at this, I don't know if we didn't do as good in the beginning. We do everything we can not to label organizations and lawmakers and groups. Okay. When I write about a Democrat law, get a quote, excuse me, when I get a quote about a Democrat lawmaker, I don't say far left Democrat lawmaker this. Okay. When it's an organization like the Idaho 97%, I don't say far left or, the far left Idaho 97%. Guess what? My job is to put their statements out, to put out whatever the facts are as far, maybe they're working on some project or whatever it is. And then you decide, is that group far left? Is that person far left? Are they far right? Or what, are they somewhere in the middle? I don't know. You decide. Isn't that news? Isn't that how it's supposed to be? No, but Greg Pruett's not a reporter. He's a propagandist for the far right or whatever. Okay. You can keep claiming that all you want. The fact is, I know liberal readers. We have liberal subscribers who subscribe monthly who are like, look, Greg, I don't agree with you on the gun stuff. I don't agree with you probably on a lot of things, but I like the way you're doing the news. Okay. And that's from an untrained journalist, just trying to give you guys the most facts that we possibly can, not labeling people, not trying to push an agenda on you. We try to cover all stories the best that we can. It's just me right now. I'm the only one writing. That's why we need you to subscribe to the Idaho Dispatch. So hopefully we can hire some help and I can get some help writing other news articles. We can get more content, which brings in more readers, which brings in more subscribers, right? But until we get to a certain point of monthly subscribers, we can't do that. $2.97 a month. The link's down in the bottom. Be sure to subscribe. So we don't sit there and label people. We do our best. We don't editorialize. This is a rare exception because I'm responding to a specific attack on the Idaho Dispatch and myself. And look, I'm a big boy. Betsy can say whatever she wants. I don't care. This is the lady who ultimately would decide if I get to have credentials at the Capitol, her and a couple others that probably don't like me. Look, folks, the bottom line is we are infringing on their territory. We're breaking stories before they are. Okay, not all the time, right? I mean, I can only do so much. I can only do what I get tips on. But we're breaking stories before the mainstream media. And you think that makes them happy? I know for a fact we broke the Chief Lee story, that Chief Lee was part of the subject of an investigation. We broke that story, and like a couple hours later, the Idaho Statesman came out with a whole bunch of stuff, which tells me they were probably sitting on it, maybe waiting for something. I don't know, but we scooped it. Okay, and that wasn't on purpose. I had no idea the Idaho State. I didn't know anybody knew. We found out and we confirmed it in our own way, and we broke the story. We broke the Caldwell FBI story, which everybody is covering now. Not that anybody other than I think the Idaho Press gave us credit one time. It wasn't Betsy Russell. It was another reporter who probably got scolded for it. I don't know. But you think we got credit for that? No, don't really care either, to be honest with you. We scooped that story. We're scooping stories. We're doing stories the way that people want it, in my opinion, or at least we're trying. And so that's our goal at the Idaho Dispatch. And so the mainstream media does not like us. They want us gone. They want us to fold up and collapse. And quite honestly, it'd be very easy to do that, right? The one thing she gets right is there's not a lot of money in the news industry. It's hard to get people to support our efforts. It's $2.97 a month, guys. Like we tried to do it as low as possible. I'm getting pressure from people who are in marketing that I'm talking to going, what can we do different? What can we do better? Greg, you need a paywall. You need a paywall, right? Every newspaper in Idaho almost is going to a paywall. All the major ones have, to my knowledge. Go to a paywall. And I'm like, I don't want to do a paywall. We are doing political news, and in particular, we're trying to expose government corruption. I don't want to put that behind a paywall. The public needs to know that stuff. So if we're not going to do a paywall, we have in the range, I think right now, of about 26 to 27,000 people who read the Dispatch every month. And we're at 360 subscribers. And so $2.97 a month, if we had 2,000 of those, 2,000 of you subscribing to the Idaho Dispatch, it would be a game changer. But we're growing. We're growing. I'm so grateful for our advertisers, so grateful for our subscribers. But if you really want to hit the mainstream media, if you're tired of it, like I am, that's why we started Idaho Dispatch. If you're sick and tired of it, guess what? This is supposed to be a capitalist country, right? That means we put our money where our mouth is. I put my own money and my own time because I have another job. I still do the gun stuff, okay? I still do the gun stuff full time, and I do this full time. It's almost 10 o'clock at night, right? I'm still going. And so we have to put our money where our mouth is. $297 a month. Now, some of you will say, can I do a yearly? Yes, you can do a yearly. The only reason we try to do a monthly thing, and I know some people are uncomfortable with that, that's fine. I understand, and I'm not gonna ridicule for that at all. But the reason we do monthly is that allows us to go, okay, we have 360 subscribers, and that brings in $2,000 a month. Right now we pay about $225 a month for email service because we have a big email list. I have libel insurance now for the Idaho Dispatch because I anticipate being sued probably by a number of people because we post things that people don't like. Okay, so that's about $100 a month. So we have all these expenditures and everything else, the internet, all that kind of stuff. The very little pay that I do from it, and needing to pay reporters. So that's why we encourage the monthly, is because then I know, okay, we definitely have this much money coming in every month to make sure that we can pay somebody, or an editor, or special projects, or whatever the case may be. So that's really all I've got. I hope that it all made sense. Let me run through, maybe let me run through all the comments. I don't know if it will or not. Oh, there we go. So there's a lot of comments. I'm not sure I can catch up on most of these. There was another quote by Sue. Where's it at? Oh, there it is. Let's see. So this is Sue. We're going back here a little bit. And Sue Zoldak, who does polling, is quoting a Gallup poll, but it says, quote, just 16% of U.S. adults now say they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in newspapers, and 11% in television news. Both readings are down 5 percentage points since last year. So you tell me, Betsy, you think everything's fine. You think you're all doing the greatest job you've ever done. Nothing has changed. You're on track. You're fair and objective and neutral and all that kind of stuff. That's what you're saying. That's what you believe. You went to your friend to try and confirm that for you, which is really weird to me. But the polling says otherwise. The polling says people are sick and tired of the news media because they are tired of the bias. They're tired of the one-sidedness, kind of the same thing there. They're tired of feeling like an agenda is being shoved down their throat by the legacy media. So whose fault is that? Right? If you guys were really doing your jobs the way you were supposed to, I would have not done the Idaho Dispatch. Like, you're a reporter, right? This is a thankless job. It's a lot of work. There's no money in it. So we do, and by the way, Idaho Dispatch has we're not affiliated with anybody, and we don't have any big donors that are just funding this operation. It's you guys. It's myself. It's people who believe in this cause that we can do something better. And so, Betsy, that's my response. It's long. Yeah, but that's what we try to do here is give people the news. That's it, guys. I hope you guys tuned in. Somebody said, do you do ACH banking transactions? Because I don't do online. I'll have to look into that, Dave. I'm not sure if the company we're using for processing can do that. I'll have to take a look. So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I am off on vacation tomorrow. We'll still get some stuff posted, but I am off on vacation tomorrow. Not that I'm going to be able to enjoy much of it with my back, but we're going to be on vacation in Utah at a family reunion. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for all your prayers. It's been one hell of a ride, almost 2 months of nonstop health problems between my foot surgery and infections and fevers, and now 2 slip discs in my back, which have been bad since Iraq. I mean, I've had a bad back for like 20 years when I got back from Iraq. But anyway, All right, guys, that's all I've got for tonight. I hope that my medicated show was worth your time. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. Share this video. Share this video. Spread it far and wide. We'll get it uploaded to Rumble, by the way, and then we'll also get it put in a I'll probably label it editorial article on the Idaho Dispatch to make sure that you guys can share it that way through the Idaho Dispatch website and everything. And then again, please finally subscribe to Idaho Dispatch, idahodispatch.com/subscribe, $2.97 a month.